Hello. So I guess I'm starting up the summer vlog again, so this is part 2. I was sick for a very long time, so there is a large time gap between when the first vlog ended to now. I went through quite a bit. I'm in recovery right now. I'm feeling a lot better, but I'm still recovering. But it's pretty nice out today, and Ryan was dedicated to changing some things about our front yard. So I'm going to try and summarize what we're doing. Basically, we have plants that are in the ground in the front yard all along the front of the house, but I don't really take care of them very well. They're overrun with weeds. Yeah, I'm just real shit at taking care of them. So he said he just wanted to cut it all out. I said it would be kind of unfortunate to just get rid of all these plants. I was like, what if we put them in pots, put them in the backyard where, you know, I go out more and I'll probably, you know, be able to check them and weed them a little more easily. So he's like, all right. So we went out to Ocean State. Oh, what's happening? I'm sorry if it's really, really dark too. But we went out to Ocean State and got a bunch of terracotta pots, and I'm going to be painting them. So I'm just gonna show you a little bit of what that is. So yeah, Ryan put all the pots on the back of the lawnmower on like a trailer, because that's how he's gonna bring them to the back. So I don't have a lot of paint. It's kind of all I have is these tiny little, they're really small. But I'm thinking I can just do small details on like the edges, just stick to that. It should look fine. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. I'm not gonna do a whole time lapse of me painting this stuff because I don't know how long it's gonna take. Also, we are outside, the sun might move. I don't want the camera to like boil or anything. So I'll just kind of show everything after it's done. Yeah, and then after this, I'll update you guys on what I've been reading, how much I've been reading, because that has not been very good this summer so far. That whole summer TBR that I set for myself is kind of out the fucking window. Okay. The lighting is absolute shit. I apologize. But while I'm doing all this painting stuff, I am listening to my best friend's Exorcist, which I know I said that I would update you guys on the whole rating thing later, which I am, but this is whatever. And I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, kind of. I don't really know. But anyways, in the scene that I just listened to, the best friend is concerned about her friend who is acting strange, and her friend has essentially just admitted that she was raped. And so the friend decides to tell the parents, because the parents, you know, they're just very religious and they're obviously not really helping their daughter who is acting weirdly. But so she tells them, she says the whole story about how, you know, they did drugs and then Gretchen disappeared into the woods. They didn't find her for a few hours, and she was raped at that point. And she tells the parents, and the first thing the parents focus on is, you did drugs? And the worst part is that, like, so for me, the way I was raised, the drugs never were a problem, ever. It was, oh, you told us you did drugs. Good. Thank you for letting us know. Make sure you're being safe with it. But if I were to say that I was raped, first fucking thing they'd say is, okay, we're getting you to a doctor. We're going to get you some help. Tell me who it was, what happened, you know, just all the help for that, because that is the most important part. And so the fact that the parents just say, you did drugs? Loud truck. It's just... that induces so much rage in me. And the worst part is that, like, I've had friends or acquaintances, people that I've spoken to, who that's how their parents treated them as well. It didn't matter how, you know, depressed or how sad, how much, you know, shit was going on in their own head. They focused on the drugs. The drugs were the problem. I hate it so much. And like, this book is technically taking place, I think it's like in the 70s or 80s. So obviously, you know, it's like, oh, well, yeah, drugs are a big thing, but it's like, it's still a thing today. And if you are a parent and you're watching this, just know drugs are never really the problem. They're never really the core problem. The problem is with the person. So if you help the person, the drug will go away. Typically. I mean, like, that's really, yeah, I'm talking out of my ass. I don't have any experience with actual, like, drug use, you know, abusers or whatever, but that's usually what it is that people are looking for an escape and they find drugs, or they're, you know, they're chasing the high because they find no joy in anything else. So if you fix those problems, then it's good. So anyways, I'm just mad. I'm very mad. You did drugs? What the fuck? I'm gonna keep painting now. The painting is very soothing, I will say. I know that I'm all antsy right now, but the painting is soothing. It's taking me for fucking ever to just do one, so I don't really know how long this is gonna take. I might not finish all of them today.
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headaches stack. Restlessness to hell and back. What's my purpose? What do I grab? A slippery surface, a heart attack. And sometimes
I just finished taking my shower. Ryan told me that it looks really cool outside, but I do want to give like a quick rundown. It is what time? 6 o'clock? It's almost 7 o'clock. We technically started this project at 9 o'clock, started painting around 10. So from 10 to, we'll say 5:30 is how long the painting took. I did have a friend come over and help because it was needed, and Ryan painted one of the pots. But now I'm gonna go see the whole setup that Ryan made. So yes, technically this is supposed to turn into a patio, but damn, holy shit. Okay, well, let's see if I can do like a pan. We got the nice hot tub, we got some flower pots, grill, 2 chairs. Holy shit, actually looks kind of nice. If there weren't bugs outside, I'd hang out. All right, so pot number 1 is just a plain pot. These are bearded irises in there. I don't know what the fuck this plant is called, but this is Ryan's pot.
That was
oh my god, I love it.
That was called the Bearded Warrior.
The Bearded Warrior?
Pretty sure.
The plant that I got?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so. Oh my gosh, they're like happy, sad.
Yeah, that's the big ones actually. They're called Bearded Warrior irises.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
That's the big ones.
Yeah, I don't know what this plant is called, but it flowered at some point and now it's just seeds.
It survived.
Okay, then this pot is the one I'm least proud of. I made this one. It's got little bats on it. And like, I tried doing pentagrams, I failed. I ended up making these like kind of Star of David type of things. And it's basically repeats that pattern all the way around. This one is one my friend made. So she just did like plain black and then she wanted to do spider webs, but it turned into something else. And I think it's beautiful. It does this. This is really hard to film. And then it turns to black again. Oh, this one is the one I'm super proud of. It's my zombie graveyard. This was the first one that I was doing. I think I showed pieces of it. Okay. Oh, this one is probably my favorite. I'm gonna hold that one for last. This one isn't the other one my friend made. It's just decorated in the front part here. It's clouds, rainy clouds, and like a dark moon. Ah, focus. That one's super cool. Okay, and this last one, I'll start here. It says witch. And there's a broom. Please. And then my favorite part, I made a pinup ghost.
Did you look closely at mine?
Yeah, yours is cool. Yeah, you made pumpkin faces. And there's like bloody bones and shit. You didn't oh, you made a penis. I was gonna say you didn't finish this one, but
Also a penis.
it's a penis.
There's a bunch of them hidden in there.
Oh, cool. Now I wanna find them. Oh, there's a penis. There's a penis. There's another one back here. Okay, you're a child. All right, I guess I'll sit outside for a little bit and fill y'all in on what I have been reading. So, oh, with the sun right there. Look at that beautiful lighting. I can't see shit, but yeah. So, okay, basically what happened is mid-July, I got very sick and I stopped reading because the nausea, etc. was making it really hard for me to want to read, but I feel better now. I'm recovering. I am currently reading, it's inside. I'm not gonna bring the book out, but I'm currently reading The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, which it was on my summer TBR, but also I kept hearing it's a really fun adventure. It's kind of lighthearted, and it's got action and shit, which honestly, after being sick for so long, I just needed something fun. And so far it's proving to be fun. I'm 2 chapters in and I am really enjoying the direction it's taking. So that's definitely a good time. I just just like the fact that chapter 2, you get left off with them running away from a zombie horde, essentially. Then I did technically, in like the second to last week of July, start the audiobook for My Best Friend's Exorcist? My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, because the audiobook was free. It's in like the catalog or whatever of the Kindle, not Kindle, the audiobook Amazon thing, Audible. So I started listening to that one. I did not get very far. I maybe made it an hour into the audiobook throughout the drive, throughout my time during my residency, which I did not film because, again, I was still very sick and just trying to survive a master's program residency, and I was just going to bed like right away when I got home. Today, though, while I was painting before my friend came over, I was listening to it, and yeah, I think I filmed a clip and I inserted it. I am very much liking it. I think it is very good. It is reminding me of why I liked Grady Hendrix, because if you don't know, I loved the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by him, and then I read, what was it called, How to Sell a Haunted House, and I didn't like that one as much. I mean, he's a great writer, I just didn't like that one as much because of the themes and the tropes and all that. But this one I'm liking. I don't know, I think Grady Hendrix does really good with young teenage girls. I don't know why, but he has a talent for it. Yeah, it's fucked up in many ways. It's definitely your suburban, high school, rich versus poor type of ordeal and mean girls thing, whatever. And then finally, yeah, because I don't know what is going on, but because I feel better now, I am so motivated to read books and pick stuff up. The book is, I think it's called Send in the Clowns. I forgot the name of the author, but I'll have a picture up somewhere here anyways. It is a smut book, essentially, with clowns, and I think it's got disabled main character. It's gonna be like, I think it's polyamory something, I don't know, it's got a lot of stuff in it. But the reason I picked it up is because the Irelium fall equinox has begun in August, even though it's not at all fall. I'm literally wearing a t-shirt and shorts outside right now. The reason that I'm reading that book is because I needed to fulfill a prompt for the calling that I'm doing, and the prompt was the first book that pops up on your social media or whatever, and that was the first book, and I was like, fuck it, we're gonna try this. If it doesn't work out, then I will, just do a different one. But so far, and I'm 4 pages in, so far, I mean, I'm not hating it. I think it's fucking weird because it literally starts off with the main character dragging her friend to a circus that's supposed to be for adults. They're watching the show, and one of the clowns in the crowd, and of course they're sexy clowns, they can't be like funny, weird clowns. Of course not, they're sexy clowns. He goes up to the main character and he grabs her chin all sexily, and I'm like, that is like the #1 no-no of a performer, is grabbing an audience member. You do not do that unless a form was given before the audition, before the performance, some kind of disclosure was done that like, oh, you may get wet or you may whatever. But in the book it says nothing, that like when the girls came in they were told that this would happen, nothing. So I was just like, I understand it's a smut, I understand it's fiction, but I still, when things are not believable for me, it can really pull me out. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. I'm probably just gonna skim through it, mostly read it for the porn and then move on. So yeah, that's what I'm reading so far, and I'm happy I did the pots. I don't know what else I'll get done in this vlog because I don't know.
Also, my nicely mowed.
Yes, the beautifully mowed lawn. Ryan did a great job today. Most of everything that we did today was Ryan's idea. So let's all give him a round of applause.
Out of the house, but not out of the house.
Round of applause for Ryan. Just smacking my knee. Yeah. All right, it's Sunday, the day after the day we painted all the pots, and I guess it's another project day because we went out to Home Depot and we got a bunch of stuff. Namely, we got plants. Yay! I have a tendency to kill plants, but I also still really want them. So Ryan indulged me and let me buy some plants. And what I'm hoping to do is add some of the plants as like little decorations between the books, because I also need to reorganize my shelves a little bit. I'm not gonna like do a whole lot, I don't think so. Anyways, I don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna reorganize this. Again, not gonna do a time lapse because it takes for fucking ever, and honestly I might get pulled to do other shit in the meantime, so just gonna kind of do a before and after. Alright, wow, we're doing like daily updates. This is wild. So I just finished my best friend's Exorcism and I loved it. It was just so good. And I mean, I did listen to the audiobook, but sometimes I'd page through it as well, and it was just overall such a creepy, fun experience. And I don't know, Grady Hendrix is just really good at doing stories that are set in like white American suburbia where everything is supposed to be perfect, and he just nitpicks at those little things that, you know, everyone knows that it's a problem, and he's just like, yeah, let's point those out a little bit more, and let's have a really incredible bond and friendship between these adolescent girls and this, you know, demon possession in the middle. So I loved it. I absolutely adored the exorcism at the end. Those like prayers with Phil Collins and what was it, like Tony Cox or something? I forgot the name, but it was great. So, I mean, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. And I genuinely feel like I'll read it again, and I'll probably read it physically and probably annotate it. I'm glad that I picked it up because I didn't really like How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and I knew it was mostly just because of the tropes in it that I didn't like it. So it was nice to read a book where I was like, yes, Grady Hendrix, still great. Absolutely love him. Now I'm going to continue The City of Brass, which I didn't really continue because, again, I was just like trying to fly through Send in the Clowns and my best friend's Exorcism. I've just been listening to the audiobook, but I have been really liking this, and I'm excited to get back to it. Good morning. I am currently walking Una. Oh, there she goes. I read a lot yesterday, actually. I continued The City of Brass, which it got dark. I did not expect it, but it got dark. So, The City of Brass. So far I got Nari's perspective. So she is with the Deva guy who's got a whole bunch of weapons, and he found out that she is half Deva in a way. I'm kind of having a hard time understanding stuff, but basically she's a half-breed, and he doesn't like half-breeds, and so she doesn't fucking know what's happening, but he's gonna bring her to the City of Brass. Then we cut to a new point of view. Ali, I'm thinking like Prince Ali, blah. There's a car coming. Hold on. God, the lighting is horrible. What am I doing? Yeah, you get the new perspective with Ali, who is a prince, funny enough. So it is Prince Ali Ababa. He is essentially paying, I forgot what they were called, but essentially the half-breeds, the ones who are half human, half Deva, I think. I don't really know what the term is. Come on, Una. And he is hesitating to continue the payments because he thinks that the group that is like trying to protect their own kind, the half-breeds, is becoming violent. And so he's like, I don't think I can support this if you're, you know, attacking other people. That's not helping your cause or whatever. And the guy, he says, okay, well, how about you accompany me and see what it is that we do with your money? I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but what they do with the money is not violent. It is, on the other hand, protecting children, young children. And what it turns into is very interesting. You need to poo, Una. She's pooping, so I need to stop now. Okay, I've now successfully picked up dog poo. So yeah, basically what the people, the half-breeds are doing is they're essentially catching child traffickers, and it's horrible. But yes, I just ended that chapter. I think it was like the 3rd chapter. It was long. It was like 40 pages. So that was quite a lot of reading. Now, for the sword that cuts the spear that cuts through water. For the spear that cuts through water, I started the audiobook because, well, I had a credit on Audible, and I was like, you know what, it's a really big book, and I did put it on like my Aurelium readathon, and I want to get through it. And when I opened the book, I essentially saw that it doesn't really have chapters. It just kind of has sections that are broken up, and like it looked really weird. So I was like, you know what, let's grab the audiobook because I feel like it'll help me get through the book. And since I'm currently reading The City of Brass, I'll just listen to it for now, and then once I finish The City of Brass, I'll probably start reading it physically, although I have also kind of picked it up physically from time to time to see what it is that's like being written. It's very confusing. When I started listening to it, it definitely has that like, you know, very intricate type of prose, very lyrical, but essentially what I'm understanding from The Spear That Cuts Through Water is that there are these princes called the Terrors and an emperor. I did get confused because sometimes the emperor gets called son and then the emperor calls the Terrors son, and I don't know, I got a little confused by that. But I guess he has a favorite son called June, and that son was given the task of being like underground in these caverns, protecting a deity of sorts. I don't know, something like that. And the thing is though, is that like many have gone crazy just being locked down because you stay there forever. I'm almost 2 hours into the audiobook, and now he has the son, June. They go to check on him, and then I don't know, the emperor says he's gonna kill him. Like they're motives that I don't think I'm quite understanding, either because I'm missing something that is being said, written, I don't know. Like there's definitely like political things going on, and I feel like it's the emperor who doesn't want to be replaced, but then the emperor is talking about a journey that he has to go on, and he calls this deity thing that is locked in the caves Mother. I don't know. It's weird, but I am liking it. And I don't know what that means. Yuna just saw a squirrel. Yuna, leave it. It's definitely just a weird book that I don't know if I'm going to 100% understand everything that's happening. Also, even the world building, like, I guess I was thinking like Asian type of medieval, I don't think is the right word, but like, you know, during the time of the emperors in Asia, like that's what I was imagining. But there's trains and then phones, like they were talking about phones. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's like during the industrial era type of thing, but obviously it's a fantasy, so it's just inspired of it. But anyways, yeah, I think I successfully did somewhat of an update. Okay, so I got back from the walk with Yuna and I made myself breakfast and I was continuing to listen to The Spear Cuts Through Water, and I really, like, the whole time I was just like, it's switching between first person, second person, third person. So I grabbed the book because I was like, okay, and this is 3 hours into the audiobook. It's page 92. I'm just gonna read out this section to kind of give you an idea of like why this is so confusing. At first, it's confusing because you're trying to figure out whose point of view is this from. So like, who do you need to focus on? And now I'm realizing like everyone, or at least for this part of the story, because this is called Before, and then now it's gonna go into the first day. So I'm like, maybe it's gonna change. I don't know. And also these 90 some odd pages are split up by like, in the book anyways, it's like just sentences. Here. Like, do you see how it does that? So it breaks up sections with sentences. So anyways, there's this section here. So it says, 3 warriors dropped into the depths between the ancient hills. We fell with our father's name on our tongues. So there we get their point of view. The peacocks in their free fall disappeared with the remnants of the bridge into the forest canopy far below. The first terror rearing his horse at the cliff's edge, running in a fury to the chasm's lip as he shouted his children's name. So then it stays to, you know, a third person point of view. Then it talks about Kima, which I guess is one of the characters that's kind of important, has been coming up. Okay. So then, yeah, he looked up at the old woman who wore a cruel smile. Avert your eyes, mortal, she said. You forget yourself before your empress. And then here it switches and said, it is only now that you realize you've heard this tale before. And I'm like, is this now Kima, the character Kima, in second point of view? Because throughout the book you've been told, like, you're Lola, not Lola, Lala. And from what I'm understanding, Lala is like it's written like Lola, like my name, but I guess they're like storytellers, historians type of thing. And that's how the book started. It says, before you arrive, you remember your Lala smoking. But throughout, it's had moments where it says like, you know, I did this. Although maybe those were... The thing is that it feels like sometimes you just get a random secondary or tertiary character's point of view with their talking, and it's usually like when they've already died, so it's like their soul talking to you, and so they talk in first person. It's super interesting. That's why I'm like, this is so weird, and I am really liking it. It's hard to follow along. I'm liking the story so far. And so, yeah, essentially this Empress, I don't know what she is, but apparently she looks like she's dead, but she's not dead. She's some kind of immortal creature thing. She's not of the mortal realm, and someone is trying to get her to go home. But the thing is that I don't know if the first terror or I don't know. I'm confused, because technically June set her free, I think, and she killed the Emperor, but I don't know if June is one of these peacocks. He had like a peacock tattoo. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure this out, so I'm wondering if Kima is the one that's going to be accompanying the Empress. Something... This shit is intricate, and I have to focus a lot when I listen to the audiobook, and the thing is, it's pretty clear that this book is purposefully convoluted. This update was originally supposed to be to basically just say I am going for, I think it's like my 4th or 5th tattoo appointment for this lovely sleeve. So let me just twist my arm so y'all can see it. I don't even know if that's all of it. Kind of. I can probably show more like this. There we go. So, yes, I have my, I don't know what number appointment today. Don't know how long it's going to be. Probably not going to film it the same way that I filmed Ryan's for part 1 of this vlog, but I'll at least put like a before and after. Yeah, so that's that. Now, onto a book update. Oh my gosh, I'm actually reading. So, first I'll say that The Spear That Cuts Through Water, I have not really progressed very much through it. I have been listening to the audiobook, and I'm kind of understanding what's happening. Not completely, but because it's an audiobook and I'm going to be at my tattoo appointment, I'm most likely going to listen to it while I get tattooed and hopefully understand a little more, because at that point I will be focusing very much on the audiobook. But City of Brass, I am almost halfway through it. I am like 250 pages, and hot damn, I am very, very intrigued by everything that is going on. So essentially, what has happened at this point is Nari summoned her Djinn, Deva, whatever he wants to be called. His name is Dara. He is trying to deliver her to Davabad, the City of Brass, because he's like, you know, you are a, what are they called again? A Nahid, and oh fuck, I forgot what they're called. Race of Djinn? Yeah, they're called Nahids, and so they were very powerful. They were wiped out, and so he's just trying to deliver her back to the royal family, I guess, where she can be protected, because she is being hunted by Ifrits, or Ifrits, whatever you want to call them. Now the thing is, I am a little confused, but I feel like that's normal? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm understanding everything completely, but basically what I am understanding is that there was a prophet called Solomon, essentially. It's written differently. It's probably like Suleiman or whatever, but Solomon was a human who somehow took away Djinn powers. He lessened their fire because they were creatures of fire. Humans are creatures of earth, Marids are creatures of water, and Peris are creatures of air. But the Djinn are the only ones who really had their power kind of taken from them, because they fucked around with the humans a little too much, and so this prophet was like, fuck y'all, I'm taking that shit away. What that caused was also factions within the Djinn evolving or happening. So different, I guess, yeah, races, people that, or Djinn that started existing in different parts of the map. So if I were to open this, I could potentially explain it a little bit from a geographic perspective. So basically, they lived in different parts. Like on the map, obviously they're called different things, but like India, Southern Africa, China, places like that. They're different families. And what I'm understanding the Deva, so what Dara is, the very sexy djinn that is traveling with Nari, he is part of a family that they allied with the Nahids. Nahids? I'm gonna call them Nahids. And the Nahids agreed with what... No, they didn't agree. I don't remember. That's the part where I'm confused. I'm like, did the Nahids agree with what the Prophet did? I don't think they did. But then there's the Ifrits, or the Ifrits. They found a way to kind of bypass the curse that was placed on Jinn to lessen their power, so they have more power, but they're technically like cursed in a way, and they are evil, they're like demons, and so no one really likes them. And the Ifrits killed the Nahids. That's why I'm confused. I'm like, but the Nahids didn't like... I don't know. But so there's all this fucking political shit. And there's half-breeds. So there are Jinn that procreated with humans who have who created what they call shafties? Shafits? I forgot what the fuck they're called as well, because I forget all the names of things. I don't remember what they're called. Shafits. Shafit. Yeah. So the Shafit are half-breeds. They're half Jinn, half human. Some of them have magical powers, some of them do not. And there's this entire thing that's going on in Daevabad where the royal family is kind of struggling between purebloods, Devas, and Shafits. And so they're trying to find a balance, and I just got to the part where essentially you learn that the history that has been shared, that has been told about what happened to the Nahids, they were the only ones who could heal as well, so like they're very much missed because they were healers, and now a lot of, you know, diseases and plagues and shit are just not as easy to take care of. They were also the most powerful, and the royal family, I guess, betrayed them as well, but I thought it was the Ifrits who killed them, so I'm just confused about all that. But it's also very interesting because I feel like I'm supposed to be confused because now you've been given a piece of history where all of that is kind of like everyone's been lied to. I don't want to give specifics because I don't want to spoil anything too much, so we're going to veer away from the political stuff that is super interesting and also confusing that I'm very much enjoying, and move into the fact that there is a romantic subplot. Kind of a big subplot, I guess? Yeah, I mean, it was pretty obvious that it was building, so Nari and Dara are attracted to one another, and who wouldn't be? This guy's got tattoos all over himself, which are possibly slave tattoos, but, you know, he's a hunky man, you know, looking sexy, and he knows how to wield a sword. But so they kind of grow more attracted. You're also learning that Nari, so she is technically a half-breed, she's half Nahid, but the Ifrit that are, you think they're hunting her, they're actually not hunting her. Well, they are partially, but they're, I guess maybe it's the Marids. Well, again, all this stuff, very complicated. I'm not totally following along, but they have a thing going on, which I always can enjoy a romantic subplot as long as it doesn't take over the main story, and so far it is not. But I'm also worried that there's gonna be the classic drama thing that comes up with romantic subplots where, I don't know, they get into an argument and, oh, they just don't get along anymore. Oh, that one betrayed that other one somehow. I don't know, just shit that bothers me, and I'm really hoping that doesn't happen. That's it. I will be going to my tattoo appointment and update later, or whatever happens. Hello. So I've continued reading City of Brass. Ryan also started reading it while I was getting tattooed. The bookmark kind of disappeared, but there's a little tiny space right here. He read about 30 pages, so he might actually read the whole book. He said he was interested. Anyways, that's not the reason why I'm updating. I'm updating because I have this entire time, Ali's point of view, it's been interesting to get like the political background and all that, but you haven't really gotten a lot of, you know, character development from other characters that are around him. You just kind of learn about him, his involvement with the Tanzim, I think is what they're called, and essentially him being very sneaky with the funds and betraying the king, his father. Now, gotten to the point now with where Nari has finally gotten to the City of Brass, to Daevabad, and you find out, like, it's almost like I was like, damn, how did I not notice realize how much of an asshole these people are. The sister, Zainab, is a bitch. She's straight up a bitch. Like, holy shit. And I mean, I could kind of get it. It was very like, you know, high society woman getting back to another woman just trying to embarrass her. But it's just, oh god, it's so toxic. She's so fucking toxic. Then Ali is having a conversation with Daddy Boo, and fucking Kingman is a straight up savage. Wow, like this entire time he's so well portrayed. I feel like he's that king who is just so manipulative and like a calm face all the time, and yet jabs at you. And it's clearly not nice, but he does it with a smile on his face, with such a calm demeanor. I'm trying to think of a character like from a show that he might remind me of. I'm trying to think of like a Game of Thrones character, but I can't even think of one that is so sly and horrible like this king. Like, it's just, oh my god. I don't know. I can't think of one. But yeah, wow. Holy shit. I literally just read like a few chapters, and I'm like, you know, oh man, good luck to Nari trying to survive this court bullshit where everyone is lying, manipulative, nasty, toxic, all that, right? And she doesn't fucking know where she is. She's like, I barely even knew magic existed like a month ago, and now she's got to survive this. So the whole time I've been reading, and I'm just like, wow, good luck to her. And now I'm just like, holy fucking shit, this world is so goddamn corrupt, and it's so well written. I'm super invested in this shit. Like, I'm having a hard time putting this book down. So I'm gonna continue reading. Oh, this is... Wow, well, we're blessed with the presence of Toothless, my cat who usually never comes out. He's my pretty boy. My pretty gargoyle. Okay, well, anyways, I didn't expect him to jump up, but I finished The City of Brass, and oh my fucking god. What a morning to finish it. It is, what time is it? Like 8 o'clock? Yes, it's 8:30. It's a rainy day, and I finished The City of Brass. I had like 30-ish pages left when I came home last night from work. I was reading this at work. I work at the library, the lending desk. It was really quiet, so I had plenty of time to read, and shit happens. Obviously, I can't spoil anything because it's the end, but let's just say that I didn't realize how much death there was going to be, how much loss there was going to be, and yeah. What the fuck? So, needless to say, I was, very close to finishing, and I was texting a friend who, she loves these books, and she was like, oh my god, chapter 27 is my favorite. What? First of all, I understand liking books that have very tragic endings, very high stakes, and one of those, like, why did they have to die moments, but that's not my favorite chapter. My favorite chapter is usually when there's a lot of snippy jokes and comments and sarcasm, not when someone is fucking what the shit. So, yes, I was reading that, and then I was at the library, and she was like, you're gonna want book 2 and 3. I'm like, yes, I know I'm gonna want book 2 and 3. But the thing is, I'm trying to be good about buying, and so I was like, will I go out and go buy the other books? No, I'm not gonna do it right now. Because I didn't annotate this one at all. So I just borrowed the next 2 books. Thankfully, the library had them both, so I have them. And so that means that I am probably going to be throwing away a lot of my plans for the month because I have Labyrinth's Heart. Yes, Labyrinth's Heart coming in today at some point, which is the 3rd book in the Rook and Rose trilogy. I did not put it on my summer TBR because honestly, I forget when books are released, but I thought that I would pick it up immediately and just want to start reading it. But now this shit has got me all kinds of messed up. So yeah, I will say the things revealed in the epilogue I kind of expected, and it's also why I'm very eager to continue reading. So I'm probably going to pick up the next book, which is Kingdom of Copper, right away. Oh yeah, The Spear Cuts Through Water, and I have been listening to it 230 pages in, and I finally understand how this story is being told. So it is kind of a classic fantasy, sort of folk fairy tale type of narrative or story, but the way the narration is done is very interesting. So you as the reader, because I thought that the second person POV, I thought it was an actual person, but I'm like, no, it's us, it's the reader being shown a play, and the play is the characters, and sometimes the characters will have like first person thoughts that are given to you, like their opinion, like they break the fourth wall and they talk to you directly. And then there's also the third person POV stuff. But I think the hardest part about it for me right now is that I'm not connecting with characters very much. I'm very enthralled by the atmosphere, by the prose and the setting, but the characters, they feel more like chess pieces to me. But I am more of a plot reader, so I am very interested in how this is continuing, especially since their quest seems very fantastical. I'm liking it. I'm not loving it as much as City of Brass. That's the update for this. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna continue with the trilogy at this point and just say fuck it to everything else. Hello. If you can't hear it, it is currently raining. Here, I'll even show it. Great, I'm sorry, my background looks like crap because our whole like front patio area is basically Ryan's little smoke spot. I don't usually come out here very often, but it's kind of cooler out now and it's not super humid, so I'm just gonna sit here and read a little more and just enjoy myself. And also, it's a covered area, so Yuna can kind of be outside a little more, but I have to stay with her, and it can, you know, if there's a squirrel, I might have to run after her in the rain. But I wanted to give a little update on The Kingdom of Copper, second book in the Daevabad trilogy, because technically I started it 2 days ago. I only read a little bit. I got caught up reading webtoons, really, and then I decided to rewatch Castlevania, so that has been absorbing all of my time as well. And honestly, I started reading Kingdom of Copper and I was liking it, but I don't know, it wasn't gripping me as much as how City of Brass just kind of like reeled me in right from the get-go. So you do get a prologue, and then you get, you know, Nari's point of view, Ali's point of view, and now I get Dara's point of view as well. And I mean, it's the second book, so I don't want to really say too much, but honestly, I almost feel like Nari's point of view right now, I don't really care, because I know that it's a lot of like court politics and, you know, civil wars kind of brewing, entire populations that are being discriminated against and all that, and she's miserable, you know, she has no power and all that. Like, I already get that, and I understood that that was what was going to happen later on after reading the end of City of Brass. So yeah, I guess I don't really care for her point of view. I know that she just discovered a hospital that was part of her people, the Nahid people, Nahid people, whatever you fucking call it, say it, pronounce it. So I guess that might be important, but everything else just kind of felt like eh. I will say though, 5 years have gone by, so that is a lot of time. That is a lot of time, and it kind of makes sense because Djinn and Devas and whatever, they live hundreds of years normally, but for us it's a long time, and really not much has changed. Or at least not much has changed in Nari's point of view. Anyways, yeah, the point is I'm much more interested in what is happening to Ali and to Dara. I now have to move around because the dog, okay, she got out of my field of view. Alright, anyways, I'm gonna keep reading a little bit in the rain while it's still cool out and not ridiculously hot and humid. Hello. I don't think I gave an update on The Spear Cuts Through Water, but I finished it a few days ago. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess let's just do a little update on that. Let's chat. I don't know when was the last time that I did anything for this vlog. So, Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. I'm not gonna say too much, but basically it was very well written. The plot was well paced. The world was incredibly complex, interesting, strange, and the characters each had their own kind of traits to them. All of it was very well done. The writing was very well done. But I don't know. I honestly could not tell you any details of what happened in the story. I can tell you the general, overview, the layout of it, but I wouldn't be able to really get into it. The way that I've been describing my experience of reading The Spear Cuts Through Water is it feels like, those myths that you might read, like the myth of how Dionysus was born, how Zeus had to sew him into his thigh and all that, right? Like usually you get those stories in a collection of mythological tales, and they're, maybe a chapter's worth in length, maybe 10 pages. The Spear Cuts Through Water feels like one of those myths, just because of how outlandish it is, how strange it is, how things are affected by other things that make almost no sense, but that's just the way that it is. And even the story in itself it's a myth almost. It has that feeling for it. But instead of it just being 10 pages, it is an entire book. It is 500 plus pages worth of a myth. So in a way, it's great. But at the same time, I never really felt super compelled to pick it up. The only reason that I really did get through it was because I had the audiobook. Because when I'd get in my car, I was like, okay, I guess I'll listen to the audiobook. Or if I was taking Una for a walk, I was like, all right, I'll listen to the audiobook. And if I was still listening to, if I came back in from a walk and I was still in the middle of a chapter, I guess, I would just grab the physical book and, finish it out or whatever. But I never really wanted to pick it up. And I'm pretty sure the main reason for that is because the writing was super ambitious, and to be fair, Simon Jimenez can pull it off, but it's not my kind of thing. This book switched between first person, second person, and third person within fucking paragraphs. Like, it's not, one chapter is in first person and another chapter is in third person. No, it's like just while you're reading. So maybe the audiobook wasn't a great idea because it was really hard to keep track of it. I don't know, maybe it is a book that should be read physically more than listened to. But then I saw a lot of people who reviewed after I finished it. A lot of people put reviews for the audiobook saying like, oh my God, this was amazing. What I generally saw was that people either loved the book or they hated the book. I probably fall more into the category of people who hated the book, but I didn't hate it because I recognize how impressive the book is and how just, the amount of skill and talent that went into it. It's just that it definitely felt like one of those books where I'm like, I think I'm just too dumb for it. Or maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. I don't know. Also, the world, there was no ground to stand on. There was nothing there to help you understand what was going on. I mean, you have freaking tortoises that talk and magical spears and deities turning into bears and that can't talk, and then telephones. I wish I had understood more of what was happening. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than the fact that I finished it, but I do have an update as well for Kingdom of Copper. I'm over halfway through it. I'm also struggling with it. I really loved the City of Brass. I think the City of Brass was absolutely amazing. It really drew me in. And now I'm in Kingdom of Copper. I'm over halfway through Kingdom of Copper, and I'm getting annoyed with almost all the characters, other than Nari at this point. There has been no real character development. They're all just kind of the same as who they were, even though it's been 5 years. The only one that maybe has changed a little bit is Ali, but even then, like, it's very slow going, and I feel like the attitude that I'm bringing talking about this is very negative, but it's not. I'm still interested in what's gonna happen, but at the same time, I kind of already feel like I know what's gonna happen. There's a criticism that keeps coming up in the book, which is the repetition of war. The fact that, you know, one person kills one person and then the other person wants revenge in 20 years and they kill the other people, then they take power. It's history. I guess I was hoping that it wouldn't be so blatantly predictable, and also that the author wouldn't drag it on for this long, I guess, is that you get these characters that want to make change and they've read a bunch of history. Okay, here we go. This is the point I'm trying to make. I'm sorry, it's really hard for me to try and talk about this book because it's the second book in the trilogy and I don't want to do spoilers. But anyways, the point is that Daevabad, it's very old. Djinn lived for hundreds of years, right? And the characters that want to bring about change, they have read histories, long histories, so much history, and they've read about the brutality of war and what it's done to their people and all this stuff, right? And yet they're willing to do the exact same thing to their enemies. So for me, it's like, then you haven't really read it. Because at least from what I think, and this is an objective opinion, so, you know, I could be a total idiot, but the people who go to war and commit atrocities are not the ones who read about it. They're not the ones who actively want to know how to change things. They're the ones who just look for weapons or just look for ways to annihilate other people. War happens because of ignorance, I guess. I don't know. There seems to be a disconnect for me where you have these characters who are so knowledgeable and know all these things about the way their people were oppressed, and yet they're willing to do the exact same thing to other people. And I know that just because they read about it doesn't mean that they have grown a conscience and decided that they're gonna be better than that and whatever. Like, obviously they could be like, oh my god, these people did this to me, I'm gonna do the same thing to them, revenge. But it also seems stupid because they live for so long. And I'm just like, you really couldn't figure out a different way to go about this? I don't know. I think that there are loopholes in the book and it's kind of annoying me. The character development is kind of annoying me, but I'm still interested. I still like them. I'm not enjoying it as much as City of Brass. And now the final thing that I wanted to say as well is I didn't know, so this is supposed to be a seasonal vlog, even though it's being cut into 2 parts. I didn't know exactly when the fall season is coming to the east coast of the United States. So I googled it because I was like, okay, when should I finish this vlog, since I started it way too early. I think I started it in like beginning of June, but yeah, fall starts September 23rd, so this vlog will continue to there. So I might actually be able to fit in some more summer reads since it's not fall yet. I'm gonna definitely finish the trilogy, hopefully, unless the second book really disappoints me. And then I have 3 books that I can choose to read, although one of them I'm really considering moving over to fall. But I think the last 3 books that I have to read on my summer TBR, not that I have to read, but that are on my summer TBR, are The Black Tongue Thief, A Master of Djinn, and Kaikeyi. But I feel like The Black Tongue Thief, that might be a good fall read, so I might move that one over. I finished The Kingdom of Copper. I finished it. So, first of all, a lot of shit happens at the end. So it's like 400 pages of, you know, it's not like it's uninteresting, it's very slow progression. A lot of the characters are making the same decisions, they have the same train of thought, and you're just like, oh my god, when is there gonna be some development here? Little things are happening and moving, and you can tell, you know, there's something boiling, okay? So for 400 pages, that's mostly what it is. You know, it's a little more than 400 pages, but then you get to the end, and like, it's literally, okay, you know, like a battle when you are in the throes of it and it's just like constant action, it's just movement. Oh my God, we are moving. That was the last 200-ish pages of this book. And I usually would criticize that and be like, just because you put in all this stuff at the end and you had me really hyped up at the end doesn't justify the 400 boring pages, so this book can't be 5 stars. But in this case, it's justified. I hate to say it, but it's justified. Oh my God. What? I can't even express proper words for everything that just occurred. So I am very promptly going to be reading book 3. Yes, very much so. But I'm also torn right now because I really, really want to read this. But I also bought the ebook for Yumi and the Nightmare Painter because it fit for the Aurelium side quest. I forgot what it is, like demonology class something with the like circles and the dots and the connecting things. The point is that it's multiple different like prompts and requirements for a book to have, and then you can fit it for that, or you can fit multiple books for it. I didn't plan out multiple books. I just saw that Yumi and the Nightmare Painter would work, and I thought that my library would have it in soon enough, but it doesn't. So I got the ebook on Amazon for like $9 or something. So I'm gonna read that because August is almost over, and I only have like, I think 7 days left of August to fulfill that. But this vlog is not going to finish in August because, as I said before, the 23rd of September is when fall technically starts. So I'll probably end this vlog somewhere mid-September. So that means I have time to still finish this entire trilogy in my summer season and potentially read maybe 1 or 2 other books that were on my summer TBR. We shall see. Point is, this trilogy is fucking me up right now, and I love it. So yeah. Hi, an update. I'm sorry about all the sound. It's hot again, so we have the AC running and fans and everything so that we don't boil alive. So I haven't updated in a while, but I did pick up the Empire of Gold, and I am more than halfway through it. I'm not enjoying it that much. Like, it's, how many pages now? Fucking 438 pages. I am listening to the audiobook in tandem as well because my library had it, and the narrator's great. It's just, the story it's moving super slow again, and like it keeps going between politics and then this like cringy flirting that goes nowhere. When there have been this many events that have happened and the characters are constantly having these monologues with themselves of what they can do to do better and all that, but they literally do nothing to actually do better. Like, I don't know. Okay, here's an example. In court, right, in these royal settings, people often don't say what they're actually thinking, which is a safety thing, you know? You don't want someone to kill you. But the fact of the matter is that some of these characters shouldn't even care anymore. Like, everything has blown up so disastrously that it's like, at this point, say what the fuck you're thinking, because that will probably have more effect than you just trying to tiptoe around and say the right thing. I don't know, it's been bothering me. And then there's characters that are like, oh my god, I like this person. It's like, then just like them. I understand you're very guarded, I get it, but holy shit, I don't know, I'm getting very annoyed with the constant back and forth and no real progress. And now I know that at the end of this book, big thing's gonna happen, but it's 750 pages. I really, like, I don't know, it's been like 400 pages, and again, I'm interested. I still like these characters, I still like what's happening, but at the same time, I feel like I'm gonna get an ending in this trilogy that is gonna be kind of unsatisfying and kind of like, really? I read all that for just this to happen? I don't know, maybe it will surprise me, but so far, I'm a little annoyed, especially with the way that book 2 ended. I was expecting answers, and anytime like you kind of get some answers, it then just kind of gets brushed aside, and then you get more court politics and weird flirting, and I'm just like, I don't know, I was left on such a cliffhanger that I kind of expected more, I guess? Anyways, that's an update on the book. Then I also realized that I never showed the rest of my tattoo and what I got, so it's very healed now, but essentially this whole section is what was added. Everything on my shoulder, Holy shit, I should probably worn a tank top or something, huh? All this. This is all new. So basically, my arm looks like a full sleeve from the back, not the front. This is what my arm looks like from the back. So it looks like a full sleeve there. So yes, I'm playing right now and listening to the audiobook, and yeah, I'll give an update whenever something maybe happens, changes, who knows. I'm kind of hoping that something will make me go, oh my god, but so far that hasn't happened. Hello. A lot of fans running. I'm sorry, it's very hot. I think it's like 90 degrees outside right now or something like that. Oh, okay, it says 87. Well, it's humid, it's hot, it's horrible, so every fan in the house is running. I realized yesterday I finished The Empire of Gold. I finished it while I was at work, and then I came home and I played games and I forgot to update. But yes, I finished it, and it was a pretty disappointing third and final book to the trilogy. I could go into a lot of details talking about it, but I'm kind of glad that I decided to do this update before I have to go to work, so I have a time limit. Essentially, the third book, it kind of had the same pacing as the second book, where it was very slow and it felt like it would drag and focus on these pieces that these characters are dealing with that we already kind of saw in the second book, so it was pretty boring and it felt very repetitive. For example, there's a lot of the politicking happening again. There's a lot of that, you know, what would we even call them? The Djinn and the Deva, the differences between them, and the Shafit, whatever. Those three different clans, I guess? I don't even know what to call them, but there's all the bickering between them, right? And that was already made prominent in the first book. In the second book, it's exacerbated. And in the third book, it just continues. And for me, I was like, okay, but there's clearly an entire history about this Solomon seal, about the Marids, about just all these different beings that we're not gonna go into that. It's very briefly grazed over, and I didn't like it that much. I expected in the third book to essentially gain more answers, to follow the characters as they're discovering more, and have that just full action roll around that's happening of the resolution, right? Except the issue is that the third book felt like another long prologue type of thing, and then it was like the last 50 pages that you actually get a conclusion. Now, I didn't completely hate it. Obviously, there were still some things that I enjoyed. Obviously, I still like the characters, though I do very much criticize the fact that there's very little actual development within those characters. They don't change throughout the whole trilogy. They suffer the same things and they keep doing the same shit, and you just have these inner monologues and shit, so that was annoying. But I do like who ends up with who. It felt kind of unsatisfying with how it happened and the incessant awkward flirting, and I think the best way I can say this is that I liked the idea behind this trilogy, and I think that as a debut author, S.A. Chakraborty, she did very well. She didn't do great, she didn't do perfect, but she did very well for this massive project that she set for herself. But I'm not really complaining that much because, again, I loved the first book. I think that's the strongest one. The second book has a lot of flaws, but I still really like the ending. And it was just the third book where I was like, I was looking for more, you know? So that is an entire trilogy completed in summer, and I'm quite proud of myself for that. So yay. And I still have time. The last two books in my summer TBR, which is A Master of Djinn, which I already started. This is by P. DeJelly Clark. It is a standalone. I really like standalones, although I don't know, sometimes they're really good and sometimes they kind of hiss the mark. They miss the mark. But so far, I'm liking this beginning. It definitely, the first chapter in itself was not what I expected. It essentially starts off with this old man who's just really grumpy about being in Egypt, and he's meeting with this brotherhood. And the brotherhood was founded by, I guess, this guy called, what's his name again? Al-Jahiz. And I guess he appears and they're just like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Al-Jahiz. I'm the person that you guys, you know, literally like named your brotherhood after. So hi, respect me. And they essentially start getting pretty racist with him, and he kills them all. So that's a great start to this book. I am definitely feeling some very, like, I don't know if steampunk is the right word, but it feels like the fantastical element here is that Egypt is very technologically advanced compared to the rest of the world, and I think it's been like kind of blown into a larger proportion where like the technological advancement is wild and we're gonna mix in some magic, and I'm excited. I like the writing so far. I was entertained simply by the writing. We'll just say that. I opened Kaikeyi and I just started reading the author's note where she was talking about what inspired the story, and it was about her mom and her grandma disagreeing about a Hindu lore story about Rama and his mother Kaikeyi. I think it was his mother Kaikeyi? I don't remember. But anyways, I thought that was kind of cool just for an author's note, so I'm excited to get to these last two and conclude this never-ending summer TBR vlog that I'm doing. Hi! No glasses, I know, it's weird. I realized I haven't been updating anything about A Master of Djinn. I'm almost finished with it. I'm at page 272, which is, it's chapter 21. And I've realized that I'm reading this chapter and reading this book shortly after the Daevabad trilogy it's interesting. Like, I'm not confusing the two. It's interesting because it has the same concepts, you know, Djinn, Devas, all that, just with a more technologically advanced type of setting, a more like real life historical setting, sort of. It's tweaked to be kind of steampunky. But this chapter, it's chapter 21, it literally mentions the city of brass, and I'm just like, I don't know, like I started thinking about the characters in the Daevabad trilogy, and then it talks about Solomon's seal and all that. And it's funny because I'm like, why didn't I make this connection? Because clearly both of the books, well, this book and the trilogy, are based on, you know, mythology and lore of those regions. So I was like, why didn't I connect this? Because A Master of Djinn is definitely more like a mystery with magic and all that. And yeah, I'm just like, I have previous knowledge of this and I didn't apply it to this book. I did really try to give myself a blank slate with this one because I knew it was sort of related to the Daevabad trilogy and I didn't want to cross over too many things and get confused. Anyways, thoughts, because I am more than 50% done with this book and I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow. My thoughts are, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm not enamored with it. I'm not totally head over heels with it, but I'm really liking it. I feel like it has very interesting characters, very cool concept. It definitely suffers from some things where like some of the side characters feel kind of, you know, like they don't have that much substance. Like they're mentioned, but they don't really have that much importance. For example, there's a place that is mentioned called the Spot or the Jasmine or something like that, and there are musicians that are there, and they were mentioned, and I thought they were going to be a little more important, but they're just kind of like there. And I guess a lot of the side characters feel like they're just kind of piecing together real history into this, you know, I guess speculative fantasy sort of story, where those musicians that I mentioned, they're from the United States, New Orleans, and they're talking about Jim Crow, how they escaped it. They came to Egypt, but then they're still noticing racism in Egypt as well. And honestly, I really do love how this book has kept a lot of that, you know, historical accuracy when it comes to society, even though technologically Egypt is well advanced and it even has access to magic and all that, but still people are bigots and they're racist. I kind of like it. I feel like it makes it very believable. The main character, Fatma, I enjoy her, but here's my issue. She was like the first woman to be, or not the first one of the first women to be brought into the ministry, which they take care of everything that's supernatural and magical and all that. She's supposedly this pretty amazing woman, and not saying that she's not, just there are definitely moments where I'm just like, what makes her so great as compared to others? I feel like if there was like a comparison to be made, maybe I would understand it better. Here it's more like it was mentioned and now you just kind of have her walking around having people help her. I don't know, it feels like some conflicts could have taken more time. Like her partner, who she didn't want, called Hadia, that kind of got resolved pretty quickly. Like she realized that she was being unfair toward her as a fellow woman of the ministry. It's difficult and all that. Like there are some things that feel like they happen too fast. But what I will say my favorite part is the relationship. So there is a lesbian relationship here between Fatma and Sidi, who I love the dynamic, because Fatma she presents more masculine. She wears suits. She's very dapper from what I've been reading. Sidi is much more feminine and sumptuous and, you know, I don't know, elegant, I guess. But Sidi is a lot fucking stronger, and I like that dynamic. I enjoy also the conflict that they currently went through that I recently just read. I thought that was handled very well. Yeah, my favorite part is probably the main relationship, as well as the mystery. So the underlying mystery is that there was a murder of this brotherhood, and it's supposedly this inventor guy called Al-Jahiz, who he kind of was the person who brought about this return of magic, of Djinn, of this ability for people to now progress beyond what they could before without magic, and it's helped with machinery and this whole steampunk environment. He's kind of what brought that. And this person who committed this murder is saying that they are Al-Jahiz, and Fatma is trying to, bring them in for the murder, but also disprove them as being Al-Jahiz. Because Al-Jahiz is like this person that everyone almost deified, you know, and he disappeared. And I'm getting further into it, and it is very interesting how they're getting around to different, you know, reasonings behind it. And again, I wish that I had really thought about the lore from Davabad and kind of applied it into here, because then I would have seen what, you know, or like anticipated, I guess, some of it. But I really went in with a blank slate. I'm very much enjoying it. Again, not a big love, but it's good. It's a good book. I can see why a lot of people praised it. Okay, I'm sitting here because I'm actually going to record a video, which I haven't done in a while. Vlog updates are not the same. It's not the same thing. Anyways, I finished A Master of Djinn, and I have the dust jacket back on it. It was, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a book that I feel like I could just pick up again just to be back in the world and with some of the characters. Basically, A Master of Djinn is set in, I think it's like early 1900s Egypt, except in this world or dimension, I guess, alternate universe. It's progressed past Western nations like England, France, the United States, all those things, because there was a man called Al-Jahiz who essentially brought magic back and incited this urge for progress in Egypt. So Egypt has technology, it has Djinn, magic, it has tools that are either magical or highly technologically advanced. So really it had a very steampunky feel to it, with a, you know, Middle Eastern type of vibe as well, which was honestly like, it felt so mystical and advanced in a way. I don't know how to explain it. Like, sometimes when you read fantasy, it's magical. It's like fairies and rainbows and dust, or maybe it's on the darker side and it's like demons and monsters and swords and all that. This one felt, okay, here's how I'm gonna say it. I've been recently playing Dishonored 2, which is their games that are, I think they're labeled with steampunk on them. And especially in this book, it talked about, what were they called again? They were called like BioWare eunuchs or something like that, they were essentially courier machines. Like, they just brought you your mail. But they made me think of like some of the machines that you fight in Dishonored 2. But Dishonored 2 is very westernized. Like, it kind of just gives you the feel of like America or England or, you know, Western culture. Whereas this was, if you combined Dishonored 2 with maybe like the first Assassin's Creed game, I feel like that kind of encompasses the general vibe of this book. Then there's the characters. The main character, I think she was interesting. I just also feel like a lot of the characters lacked more depth, except for Sidi. Sidi was fucking great. Sidi is a queen, and Sidi can braid my hair any freaking day. I love her. Some of the side characters I felt like were very one-dimensional, and for some side characters that's totally fine. Like, I think I talked about the place or whatever, the musicians that were there that were from America that escaped Jim Crow. Like, they were mentioned, and I thought they'd have more, like that they would come back because of how they were mentioned. Like they were given a name, they were given, you know, a history and all that. I'm like, okay, can we get a little more about those characters? And we didn't. And that's okay, that can happen to some side characters, but it felt like almost all the side characters suffered from being very one-dimensional. You like the ones that kept coming back, like the guy that Fatma would always enlist to help her when she has a dangerous mission to go on. She'd always look for like a guy who's pretty big to help her, and he didn't have much of a personality, honestly. So the book did suffer from some things, but I really liked it. I can see why so many people enjoyed it and why it was very popular. It's not as popular now. Oh, and my other criticism, as well as praise for it, is it weaved in the socio-political issues of that time, like of that era, of the early 1900s, racism, colonization, sexism, all those things. It weaved that in very well into the story. I really liked how those issues were present because it made you really feel like this was a historical fantasy. Historical being the main point here, where it was tying in issues that we all recognize that are in our history books. But what I didn't like is that it would talk about them again sometimes as if it was trying to explain it to someone who didn't understand. The way that I would describe this is, you know, when someone tells a joke and you might have understood it, you just didn't laugh, and the person starts explaining it to you. That's how that felt sometimes with this, where like there's very clearly an issue with sexism, but it keeps getting brought up, and I was like, okay, I get it. You don't need to explain it. You can actually just keep following along the story without having to explain anything about that. Just have the characters interacting with the world around them, and I will understand that sexism is at play. It's not a foreign concept. You know what I'm saying? So that was a criticism that I had. I liked that it was in it because it gave context and it made this connection. You just blurted spit. It brought the connection to our world and how this is really just like a slight alteration of real life. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a good time, and I will be starting Kaikeyi, which I already took the dust jacket off. I don't read books with hardcover books. First of all, I prefer reading paperback books. They're lighter, but this is hardcover. And if I'm reading a hardcover book, I do not like the dust jacket on it because it freaking slides around all over the place. Like, look, it's so easy for it to slide. And I bring my books all over the place and they tend to get ripped. Like even this one already got ripped here. I don't know. So I haven't even started it yet. I think I read like the first 2 sentences, maybe the first paragraph of the author's note. So yeah, that's an update on that. Hello, update. I'm in the bedroom because I started editing this part 2 today and I realized how many times the fans are in the background and it's horrible. It's just, oh my god, I'm so sorry. So I turned off the fan in the bedroom. We do get Toothless, the cat that barely ever shows his face. Here he is. This update is because I started Kaikeyi. This is going to be a short update too because I am technically raiding right now with friends on Final Fantasy XIV, but we're waiting for parties to fill. Anyways, I started Kaikeyi today. I'm 50 pages in and I think I'm gonna like temporarily DNF it because I'm just not interested. I'm pretty bored. I'm 50 pages in, and so far what's happened is you learn that Kaikeyi, she's a twin and she's a princess or whatever, and then she has a bunch of other siblings. Her dad doesn't really care about her. Her mom never really showed any kind of real, you know, hyper affection toward her, but now her mom has been banished and Kaikeyi has discovered this ability to influence people. It's very interesting. Like it's kind of like strings, and she can see how strong her bonds are with people through the strings. She can use the strings to kind of influence them, but it's boring. Even at one point, her and her brother, like they get into trouble, I guess. At least that's what it says, but it doesn't really feel like they do. Like they do little things here and there, but they went off to this ceremony, I guess, and nothing, you don't really get much of the ceremony, and then they go into the forest because they're looking for a white elephant, and they come across this demon type of thing, and you don't really see what happens with the demon. You're just kind of told that it gets fought off by their dad and the soldiers, and then it's just gone. It feels like, and I know that like later on in the story it's Kaikeyi who's older, and I'm like, am I gonna have to spend this whole time with her just growing up and figuring out how to to do stuff. I'm not interested in it right now. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't think it's what I want right now. It probably won't ever be a book that I'm really going to be all that interested in. So for now, it's a soft DNF. But if I don't pick it up before September 23rd, I'm just going to officially take it off the list and be done with it. So unfortunately, I think this is where I'm going to end the vlog. So I'm very sorry to end this on a DNF, even though I kind of persevered through most of my summer books. But I'm also trying to be better about not reading books that I don't want to read, not reading books that like aren't really bringing me in. And if it's been 50 pages and I'm not really into it, that's it. You know, I'm done. So yeah, this is the end of the vlog. Holy shit, this is a long ass video, but I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, that's your prerogative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.